Hi everyone, my name is Ben Jones and I'm an analyst at Dorsey Wright and Associates, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about what we're seeing in the Indian marketplace, as well as providing you with some stocks to watch, stocks that are performing very nicely, and a couple stocks that you might want to look on the short side, if you know what I mean. So what we're seeing in the overall Indian equity market right now, we've seen definitely a pullback from some of the major benchmarks here, as well as across the whole Indian stock market. We witnessed quite a few stocks produce sell signals across both the Bombay and the National Stock Exchange. In fact, in India, only about 26% of stocks are on point and figure buy signals. Now, this is right above that low level of, let's say, 24% that we saw in May of this past year. So we haven't really reached that bottom that we've seen in 2010 yet in terms of buy signals. But if we can see this reverse up in the X's, which will mean that the bullish percent that we've seen an increase in point and figure buy signals, rising prices, and that's definitely a good sign for investors, because we're coming out of that oversold territory, moving up as demand takes control. That's something that I'm going to be watching for if we can start to see some more buy signals after this brief pause. Now, overall, if we look at the CNX Nifty, we see that we did break that 5,900 level when the Nifty came down to 5,850 on the Nifty on its 50 rupee chart. Now, this was that important level that we were looking at, because now this is the first sell signal that we've seen in the month of November, after it was able to break out at the 6,200 level and ultimately rise to 6,300 before it pulled back. So going forward, we don't really have much support until really that 5,350 level. That's that August low. Now, our bearish price objective right now is looking around at that 5350 level. But going forward, I mean, it's still trading in a positive trend on its long-term chart. We still are looking here to, maybe, let's say, wait for that reversal up in the X's, wait for those new buy signals across the Indian marketplace, just to make sure that, we don't see this drop any further, because there's plenty of room, as we said in the last video, for this to fall. But a good piece of news here is the fact that it's had negative weekly momentum for the last 6 weeks. This is a sign of short-term weakness. Now, this is on average the time frame that we see momentum last in one direction. So if we do see momentum turn positive, that could suggest a short-term bounce that will be in favor of the Nifty. So let's look at a few ideas to maybe play this current environment, especially if we do see that bullish percent reverse up in the X's. One stock that I like in particular is City Union Bank Limited. This is a financial stock. We have seen weakness across the financial sector in the U.S., but it is somewhat strong abroad. Now, this stock, one reason why I like it, because it's trading in a positive trend and has been for some time, but it's on what we call a possible shakeout pattern. This is when a stock produces two tops, meets resistance, reverses down, produces a sell signal, and this shakes out investors. So if we can see City Union reverse up into X's to that 50 rupee level, that's going to be the buy signal for this stock. And we'll have plenty of support there at 47. So if it, let's say, breaks down after a reversal up to 46, that's a close stop. Otherwise, we can look to that 43 and that 42 level for our next area of support. It's a 5-for-5er, and we also witness its weekly momentum turn positive. And as I mentioned earlier, that could suggest a short-term bounce and short-term strengthening. So look at City Union Bank. I want to see if it can reverse up. Now, India Securities. This is a stock that has traded in a sideways direction really for the last 3 months. It's produced some buy signals and some sell signals along the way, but I like that it's found some support there at the 40 level. This is near-term support where we've seen it come down in November. Now, it just reversed up and recently broke a double top there at 44. So let's say you can, buy here and potentially put a stop there around 39. It is a 4-for-5er, and one thing that's interesting about this stock is that it was able to reverse up into X's against the peer group, which is the financial sector. And that's a sign of outperformance against the sector, and possibly this could be one that you can add to your portfolio, but definitely you want to keep an eye out on it and look at it on StockEasy, and also set some alerts on the Dorsey Wright website. Now, one area that has performed very well in the U.S., but hasn't really taken off abroad, or at least in this particular name, is the Great Offshore Limited. It is an energy stock. We have seen energy firm up in the U.S., but unfortunately, Great Offshore Limited hasn't over here in India. So we saw it break through the bullish support line, effectively changing trends. So now it's trading in a negative trend back in August. Now it's traded between really that 410 to 350 level, but right now it's in a negative trend. It's underperforming the market. It's underperforming its peers. It faces heavy resistance at that 410 level. So this is possibly one you want to avoid, or possibly, I guess, just short maybe, and definitely weed it out of your portfolio and hedge if you're long here. Right now our bearish price objective is 270. Now, another stock that is very weak at the moment is Nucleus Software. This is a technology name. It's trading in a negative trend. We saw it correct very severely this past week. It actually produced a double bottom on November 18th. But we have seen it bounce up, so you can possibly sell on this rally. Definitely one you want to avoid because of its weak relative strength and the negative trend, negative momentum. So those are a couple of names that we're looking at, and we added some more stocks on the Stock Easy website for possible new buy signals and new sell signals. And we also updated one of the models with adding Tata Motors and selling Axis Bank. So check that out as well. And just stay tuned, and we should have another video up next week. So thank you for listening, and have a great week.